All right. Now, hello everyone and welcome to Unity Philippines. And today is our enrichment class again. Today is June 30, 2024. Thank you everyone for being here. Okay. Since we have guests, I have to introduce Unity to our guests as well. So here we go. But first, let me introduce myself. I am Anthony Peña, and I am currently the president of Unity Philippines Spiritual Center Inc. here in the Philippines, and it's an honor and a privilege to serve Unity here in the Philippines. What is Unity? Unity is a worldwide spiritual movement helping people transform their lives into a new and abundant experience. Who here wants new and abundant experiences? Raise your hands. Okay, good to know. Now, okay, next. Unity was founded by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, spouses Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, in 1886. Wow, tagal na pala. Uh, that is in the US. No? Here in the Philippines, we were founded 2013, 2014. Yeah, we're about to have our 10th anniversary soon. And this is the bird's eye view of Unity headquarters, the world headquarters of Unity in Missouri. Imagine yourselves now being here. I want to go there. No, I want. I just want to experience. You can imagine this architecture. No, just go to any place. If you want, you can even see it in Google Maps. Tapos drop the pin yung small person there. Drop the pin over anywhere dito sa headquarters. And you can imagine how serene and peaceful this place is. And the vision of our founders here in the Philippines, Florence, no, is to have such village here in the Philippines as well. And in every and present in every barangay here in the Philippines. So we don't have to, of course, we still want to travel to the US, but dito sa Philippines, we get to experience it as well. Di ba? Yeah. This is in Kansas City, Missouri, and there are almost 1,000 centers in the US. And we belong to the Pacific Rim region, the Philippines. And Unity welcomes people of all religious orientation, as well as agnostics and atheists. So whatever your faith, whatever your religion, you consider your religion is, you are welcome here. No? We all share a spiritual dimension to our experience, whether we recognize it or not. Okay, so if you're Christian, you're welcome. If you're a Buddhist, welcome. If you're Jewish, you're welcome. If you're an atheist, agnostic, you're welcome. We don't discriminate that. And unity has no dogma that people must have in order to belong. It doesn't have a set of it does, however, have a set of universal principles that, when applied, will revolutionize man's life. A while ago, we talked about new and abundant experience. Diba? Most people get to, when they join Unity, they get to have those new and abundant experiences simply because they were able to, where's my slide? They were able to recognize the universal principles that, when applied, that's the time their life gets to be revolutionized. Yeah, me included. And Unity considers itself Christian with Jesus Christ as its true authority. A while ago, we mentioned that we don't have we in welcome. Everyone is welcome from all walks of faith, diba? However, Unity considers Christianity, or the teachings of our master teacher Jesus Christ, as its primary influence. Why? Because Christianity, as taught and as practiced by Jesus, no, what we found, or the founders have found, that the Christianity taught and practiced by Jesus is the easiest and simplest way of learning the universal principles. Yeah. So unity teachings are universal truth. Truth pertains to spiritual laws that do not change and cannot fail. They're the same yesterday, today, and forever. What do we mean by that? Does everyone here believe in gravity? Every one of us here believes in gravity, di ba? Now, what if I tell you I don't believe in gravity? Gravity still happens, di ba? Even if I don't believe in gravity, mahuhulog at mahuhulog. This wallet will fall down. Okay? So the same is true with spiritual laws that do not change and cannot fail. They're the same yesterday, today, and forever. These spiritual laws or truth govern all people all the time. One such truth is oneness, unity with God and with each other. A while ago we mentioned, every in each and every religion, every person from all walks of faith is welcome to attend our sessions. Why? Because one such truth is oneness. We are all one. No? Unity with God and with each other. We may have different names for what we call God or Supreme Being. The truth is oneness. And the ultimate goal of Unity's teachings is to help everyone realize oneness with God. So everyone, I invite you to unmute yourselves. Unmute yourselves and how do I do that here? I'd like to invite everyone to unmute yourselves and join me in affirming this affirmation. Everyone? Okay. There is only one power and one presence.
There is only one power and one presence,
Active in the universe
active in the universe,
and in my life.
and in my life.
God, the power of good,
God, the power of good,
present all the time.
present all the time.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So, okay. I'll just run this through quickly. We have uh, like what I've mentioned earlier, Unity believes in universal principles, and these are the 5 key universal principles that Unity subscribes to. The first, I'll just run through this quickly. The first is God is good, no question about that. No. The second is I am good. No. The third is I create good. The fourth is I pray good. And the fifth is I practice good. Again, just like my example earlier, whether you believe in gravity or not, gravity happens. And whether you believe these principles happen. So I hope we can all agree on this. Huh? And okay, for everyone, this is our wish, our blessing to all of us. Huh? Let me please join me, unmute yourselves, no, and let's affirm this for every one of us. This is the unity blessing. Okay, we bless you.
We bless you.
We love you.
We love you.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
And we behold the Christ in you.
We behold the Christ in you.
Okay. And before okay, I believe that's our,
Ayun, no?
okay.
Ate, ito, pwede ka kumuha. Yung maliit.
Okay.
Kaso, ayaw nga. Ito.
Sorry.
Hmm. Ito, okay na ito.
Hello?
Ito, ito
Sorry.
na lang,
Can
oh.
you,
Ito. Ayan, yan.
hello? How
Ayan.
come I cannot? Okay. All right. So we affirm this. I'd like to invite everyone to affirm this now, and later we'll affirm it again, no, before we exit. Uh, in unity, we practice this prayer of protection, no? And I personally practice this. I personally use this prayer. Uh, so let us all. I invite everyone to unmute and affirm this prayer. The light of God surrounds us.
The light of
The
God
light of God
Light of
surrounds
God
us.
surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
We are the
We are
light
the
of God.
light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
The love
The love of
The
God
love of
enfolds
God
us.
enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
we are the
We
love
are
of
the
God.
love of God.
The power of God protects us.
The power
The
of God
power of
Power of
God
protects us.
God
protects us.
protects us.
We are the power of God.
We are the
We are the
power of
power of
God,
God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
and the
The
presence of
presence
And the
God
of God
watches
presence of
watches
over
God
us.
over us.
watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
We are the
We are
presence
the
of God.
presence of God.
Wherever we are,
Wherever we are,
Wherever we
God
are,
is,
God
God
is,
is,
and all
God is
is well.
and
and
all is
all
well.
is well.
well.
Thank you, God.
Thank you, God.
God.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you everyone, no, uh for listening to me primarily. And today I have the honor of introducing to you our key speaker. No? Our next speaker will be has been a regular uh how do I call it? Has been a regular no not well, our speaker has been selflessly participating, and I can assure you, no, what we are about to hear from her will enrich our lives. Okay. She is a meta denominational minister who is also an international speaker, a teacher, and a trainer. Her ministries focus on providing outreach to prisons, providing water, well, to Philippines region where needed most, helping women wanting to start their own business, and supporting mental health. She specializes in helping those who feel invisible to own the power of their voice and express truth. No. She has done public speaking trainings to businesses, ministries, professionals, and individuals. The vision statement of her ministries is one with God, one with self, one with all. Now, so ah, I'm such it's such an honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker, Reverend Michelle Hubbard.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Anthony. Thank you. Oh, I'm so happy to get to see everyone again. I've missed you. I've missed being here. And, sometimes we have to do that thing called work. And my hours at my work have changed so that it's been sometimes not possible for me to be here as often as I would have liked. But tonight there was nothing that could have stopped me, and I'm so honored to get to be with you. And I'm excited for the presentation I'm going to be sharing, which brings up I'm now going to try, let's all cross our fingers, know the power of oneness goes all the way into technology, and I'm going to be able to share my screen. So I'll start with share screen. And then oh, okay. Oh no, what did I do? Thanks, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I've been leading a metaphysical Bible study for the last 9 weeks. And Christina and Kabubot get extra stars for being there at 5:30 in the morning every Friday since we started. And we have been studying, we started our study with the Beatitudes, the 8 Beatitudes. And Reverend Florence asked me to tie in the Beatitudes and prosperity, which I think is a wonderful invitation. And I've been just so enjoying doing that and seeing how Jesus's teachings in the Beatitudes are totally relevant to being prosperous in our lives. So that's what we're going to be exploring tonight. Tonight, my time. Good morning, and today, your time. Now, as always, my goal is to draw you closer to your own master teacher within through whatever conversations, activities we do, and then to invite you to actually apply what you learn, what comes up as an aha or an insight, and apply it to your own life and just see how it fits. And as Albert Einstein said, education is not just the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. And I've added training the mind to listen and interpret the wisdom that's in our heart. So it's not just about the words that I'm going to be presenting, it's about how you take them inside and how your inside responds and reacts to them. Now, when we're in our Bible study class, how we do Bible study, how we do metaphysical interpretation is first we read, in this case, the Beatitude, and then we start to have an interpretation of it that goes beyond the word. And where I've been turning to, at least to begin our exploration, has been to Master Metaphysician Eric Butterworth's book, Discover the Power Within You. And then after we've done this reading and after we've done this interpreting, what we do is we make this biblical teaching, this biblical quotation, this words of scripture, we make them personal. We make them personal to what's going on in our lives. And then we create an affirmation, either an affirmation or an actual rewording of the scripture, so that it's something that we can relate to in our own words, that is something that we can relate to in our own lives, and so that it's something that we can then actually start to apply and live by, and see how very alive and relevant this writing that happened so many years ago in a completely different language, in a completely different culture, how relevant to right now, today, hello, us, really is. I think that this quote, this description of Jesus the Christ, is one that is very consistent with the teachings of unity and why we consider him to be a master teacher of oneness that we follow. Christ came into outer manifestation 2,000 years ago to elevate the human spirit by his living example, and that is very much how unity views Jesus, is as being the living example, the living role model of how to be human and divine. Jesus came not to teach laws or precepts primarily, but to live among his people and demonstrate through his humanness the potential of the race to reach a higher stage of consciousness. Jesus did not come to establish Christianity. Jesus did not come to be worshiped. Jesus did not come to save us. Jesus came to teach us how to live in an expanded, in a highest stage of consciousness. So in other words, Jesus came to tell us that we are all Christ, meaning we are all anointed as one with Source, with God, with the universe, with divine mind, whatever phrasing or word you use in unity, we welcome you to use that. And then we welcome you to even change that as your mind and your consciousness does expand. So Christ means to be anointed by Source, by God, and to be anointed and recognized as being one with God itself. And Jesus came to show us how to own that, how to express that, and how to live that in such a way that we inspire others simply by showing up as that, to live their own truth of their Christ nature, their expression of the Christ nature. In fact, their own unique, only they can reveal this Christ nature way of being one with God. So the Beatitudes, in general, I would say a main theme that came out of the study of the Beatitudes are that what you want to see in the world, what you want to see in your life, become that. And so I want to share with you a couple of the Beatitudes that for me really just landed that home for me, taught it to me, and then also share with you the interpretations by our master teacher, Eric Butterworth, that interprets it in a way that makes the Beatitude even a more powerful teaching that will help us to bring prosperity into our lives. So the first Beatitude I want to introduce you to, that I think very powerfully states really what all of the Beatitudes are about, is blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. In the book, Discover the Power Within You, on page 65, he says that this Beatitude is really revealing the law of consciousness. If you want to be loved, you must become the actual quality, the embodiment of love itself. So translating that over to prosperity, if you want to be prosperity, if you want to be prosperous, then you must within every cell of your being believe that you are prosperous. In this Beatitude, Jesus is emphasizing that what comes to you is what your consciousness has drawn to you. And in a way, this is referring to law of attraction, but law of attraction is something that is an oversimplification, because what it leaves out is you first have to affirm your oneness with God. If you leave out the being one with God part, you may not get what you're wishing for, trying to become, thinking you've become, or you may get it and it turns out quite horribly. So Jesus is emphasizing that what comes to you is what your consciousness has drawn to you. And if you are in that highest state of consciousness, you are knowing, you are believing, you are feeling within every cell of your body that you are one with the source that created all that is and with that creator itself. When you build a consciousness of love and justice and friendliness and peace, you no longer look for or identify with any apparent enmity or injustice in others. You walk in a magic circle of protection. So this consciousness that you want to build, that is the highest consciousness, the Christ consciousness, it isn't something that you're doing just to be nice to someone else, just to be friendly and just to have peace and just to be a presence of love. But it also puts you in a magic circle of protection, so that when you show up as peace, when you show up as love, when you show up as justice, you have a protective vibration around you that also says, I only see that coming toward me as well. Yes, this is how I see you. Yes, this is my consciousness that I live in, and I'm receiving this experience, this relationship, this version of you as. But yes, it also brings peace to me. Yes, it also creates a friendlier way of being with myself. Yes, it also puts me in a vibration that is so powerful that nothing else can come to me or be around me or touch me. Now, this attitude, this beatitude of being consciousness, of being love, of being justice, of being friendliness, of being peace, so that you do not see anyone as an enemy, you do not see injustice being something you would do to someone else. This is quite simply how we can love our neighbor as ourselves. We know we're loved, and so we treat our other person, our other situation, as being love. And there is nothing in the world right now that is needed more than accepting our neighbors instead of drawing boundary lines and creating differences and emphasizing wrong or right. Here's how to do that, is in this beatitude of becoming the peace, the friendliness, the love that you want to be and see in the world. Another beatitude where this similar theme of being what you want to see in the world is the seventh beatitude. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. And this does not mean that only men can be related to God. This is just simply the way it was written in that time. So when we say man is a spiritual being, we mean women can also be a spiritual being. We mean however you identify yourself, you are a true child of God in spirit. But you only can become this not according to how you word your identification. You can only become this in fact and expression when you are attuned, when you claim, when you own that you have the God potential of love and peace within you because you are one with an infinite expression of God. That is what you have within you. The peace that we desire and need in the world is that which passeth understanding. Meaning it's something that our minds can't even accept. Wait a minute, they do this, they eat this way, they use this language, they look like that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. For peace, we accept that. For peace, we show up as simply seeing and knowing that there is love in everyone, everything there is, including being prosperous. This peace that comes beyond understanding, which is from Philippians 4:7, can only come when men become receptive to it and become peacemakers themselves in the process of expressing it from within. So again, we have this concept of what we want to see or create. We have to first, within and as and how we show up, we have to be that. First is to affirm yourself that you are divine in potential. That means that you are one with the source of all that is and its creator. That is what makes you divine, is to be one with what created all that is. In the Unity First principle, we say that all there is God. All there is God. And God is good. And then in the second principle, we say, that applies to us as well because we are in God, God is in us, and so we are also good. We are one with the God that is good. That's what our divine potential is. And then we express this as many different qualities of God, including peace that passes understanding. That could also be called the God potential of love and peace. And when you can do this, when you can show up in a situation that has some contentiousness going on, that has maybe an argument or a conflict or some resistance going on, when you can show up as peace in the midst of that, then is when you can be truly called a child of God and believe it, because you can see your impact on the situation, and then you become a true peacemaker. This expression, child of God, keep in mind that it is not necessarily saying that you are in any way less than God, but rather that you are so one with God as Jesus believed, which is why he called God Father, that the very DNA of Source itself is in you. That you are so one with God, with divine mind, with Source, with the universe and its creator. You are so one with this that you are its child. It gave birth to you. It individuated itself as you. It is within you. It is within every cell of your being. And you have this power of creation that created all that is within you. And at your use, at your command. And then here's a beatitude that, boy, is this going to be helpful as we start to think in terms of prosperity. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. I love how Eric Butterworth says this. To be pure in heart, you are unalterably convinced. Your conviction cannot be altered. It cannot be changed. It is, as Anthony said earlier, it is such a pure truth that it never changes. You are unalterably convinced that there is only one presence, one power, and that is God, the good, omnipotent. And then when you really unalterably are convinced of that, know that, believe that, that's the one truth that you hold and that never changes no matter what's going on around you, then you see God everywhere. You see good everywhere. And here's something that I find so exciting. When you have this sight of knowing the one presence so completely, so unalterably that you see God and good everywhere, you start to see things as you are in this perspective. This seeing of all there is God everywhere, and it is good, becomes an insight which influences the outlook. Your physical eyes are no longer organs of sense impression. They're not just looking at something. They become channels of expression of the inner power, so that your eyes actually become a blessing being delivered to what you're looking at. In the Metaphysical Bible Study group, I sent out a link to this study where how we look at, how we speak to water. And then when you look at it molecularly, how that changes the water that's being spoken to or looked at or thought of in either a negative or a positive way. And that is this principle, this teaching, scientifically proved. So these Beatitudes say that whatever we want, it isn't like wishing for it, law of attraction, and then it comes to you. But what you want, if you become the living human expression of it, knowing that you can do this because you are one with the creator of all that is, and that includes whatever you're wanting right now in a moment, then the energetic power of how you look at what you want begins to change it so that it's yours. So this is how we can use these Beatitudes and apply them to prosperity. So just for example, if you want to be pure in heart, you're unalterably convinced there's only one present, there's only one power. It is God, it is good, it is omnipotent. Then you see God everywhere. You see good everywhere. Part of the good that God is abundance. Part of the good that God is prosperity. God wants you to be prosperous because God knows that as itself revealed in the way that only you can reveal it, you're going to do good with it because you are one with it. Wow, that makes it seem almost easy to become prosperous, doesn't it? So now I'd like you to get something to write with, get something to write on, and let's take a little deeper look into how can we apply prosperity, being prosperous, to these Beatitudes and actually start to use these Beatitudes to create the prosperity that we want. First is to actually define what is prosperity to you. If you look at yourself and you're a very prosperous person, you're more prosperous than you are now, you're living as the embodiment of prosperity, what is your life like? What are certain things that are different about your life because of you being what you define prosperity as. And then what are some things that maybe just stay the same? How are some things that even though you're prosperous, you're still this, you still have these certain things that you want to keep, but there's some other things that you want to change? Is prosperity all about wealth in your definition of it? Is prosperity something else? Is it a quality of a way of living, like having power, having freedom? Take a moment to just write down, how do you define prosperity? Is it a negative thing? Does it have negative aspects to it? Is it a good thing? Which brings us to, when you think of prosperous people, what do you think of them? Are they celebrities? Are they an elite that's so high up you don't know them? Are you, let's be honest, are you jealous of them? Do you think of them as being very kind, of being very generous, of being very magnanimous? Do you think of them as being sources of kindness, of grants of money to places that do good in the world? How do you think of prosperous people? And if you think of them as having quite a few negative qualities, do you think that might be holding you back from being prosperous because you don't want to be one of them? And then take a look at, what are you? What do you really believe you are? Do you believe your job? Do you believe your family, title within your family, husband, wife, son, daughter? As a spiritual being, how do you define yourself? What are you? What do you really believe you are? And if you believe you're one with God, and God is all there is, and God is good, how do you really see yourself as that? How do you really live as that? How do you feel that in your body? Where do you feel that in your body? How do you remind yourself of that? If that's the one for sure truth that you live your life by, how do you keep coming back to it? Because the world wants us to be distracted from that belief. The world doesn't want us to believe that. How do you bring yourself back to it anyway? And you, as this spiritual one with God, one with all that is, you with this divine nature, how do you look prosperous? Wait a minute, how can I be spiritual and be prosperous? Is there some sort of a hang up there? How do you look prosperous? How will you use your prosperity? How will you live your prosperity? How will you be able to comfortably, with, as Reverend Florence says, with ease and grace, show up in the world as you, prosperous? And having reflected on these aspects of yourself and having gone a little bit deeper into what you think of as being prosperity, what you think of about people who are prosperous, what you think is the truth of your own nature, both human and divine, and how you might really look if you were prosperous. Let's get honest. And is there something that's holding you back? Is there a belief? Is there a story? Is there a thought? Is there a concern? Is there a part of your past that never had money, that mismanaged money, that lost money, that had money and didn't like it or didn't like what happened as a result of it? Is there something within what brought you to where you are right now in your life that could be holding you back? These are prosperity awarenesses to take forward as you begin creating you being prosperous. So we have Beatitudes that can help us with this. We actually have Beatitudes that can help us meet ourselves right where we are, right as we are. And one of them is the third Beatitude. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Now, here is an interesting insight and truth from Eric Butterworth. Jesus was talking about a meek attitude toward God. I of myself can do nothing. I do not seek my own will, but the will of the Father who sent me. And here he's talking about being one with the presence within me. And that's from John 5:30. Jesus is talking about a meek attitude toward God. But Jesus is not talking about a meek attitude toward other human beings. In fact, he is saying that if you are meek toward God, you shall inherit the earth. And you cannot be meek toward humans, meek toward being a human in time and space on earth, and also inherit the earth. You rather have to be bold. Jesus knew that the miracle working power that was now his came not to him but through him. As long as he was in tune with that oneness, he could do all things. And then to attain this consciousness is to inherit the earth. And what Eric Butterworth shares that Jesus is talking about when he's talking about inheriting the earth, what he's talking about is being a master of being human. Not being mean, not being arrogant, not going around thinking he's better than anybody else. He doesn't have to think he's better than anybody else. He knows he is everybody else because he knows he's one with the source of all there is and all there is itself. But to inherit the earth is talking about mastering our humanity, mastering our emotions, mastering our thoughts, choosing the prosperous thought, choosing to feel and then release an emotion that doesn't serve us, standing strong and positive and solid as one who knows that prosperity is at the tip of their fingers to create in any moment, and that they will handle this prosperity with love because love is the true nature of them. So to attain this consciousness of being meek is to have a meek attitude toward God, meaning you know that you are one with God and have inherited the power, especially a creative power that can create prosperity and create lots of opportunities to do good with it. We know that now Jesus, when he talks about being meek, is talking about being one with the presence and the power of God. And that when we can claim this, live this, be this, show up as this in the world, we're inheriting the earth. We are inheriting the riches that life has to offer. We are deserving of it because it is our divine nature, as knowing that we are one with the presence that created all that is all that is, and is the very highest and purest vibration of love. And so we can know that when we are manifesting, are demonstrating this good in the form of prosperity, all there is God and all there is good, we're going to do good with it. It's all okay. It's all good. And we can simply just say thank you at that point. So when we take a look at at our prosperity awarenesses and see ourselves as being quite human, that's okay. But our meek attitude is toward God. We can do nothing without God and the presence of God and the good that is God. And know that that's what we're going to do when we have and create our prosperity. Now, here's a beatitude that has, to a great extent, been misunderstood, and it's the first beatitude. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I don't think it was more than 15 years ago that I learned that this beatitude was not simply, blessed are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This beatitude is not talking about it's blessed to be financially poor. It is blessed to be a beggar. It is blessed to be homeless. It is blessed to not have nice things. That is not who blessed being the poor in spirit is referring to. Now, of course, there are homeless people that are such brilliant metaphysicians, so purely, truly knowing, claiming, living as one with God in their own way, that yes, they are blessed. But not because they're poor, but because they're poor in spirit, meaning that they are poor in pride. And again, this relates back to a similar conversation as around Jesus's use of the word meek. When Jesus is talking about being poor in spirit, spirit accurately translated as pride. This is from Discover the Power Within You, page 58. And this is where Art Butterworth looks at the original Aramaic, looks at the original Greek, and learns that the actual translation for spirit is pride. So what Jesus is saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, he's saying, blessed are the poor in pride. Blessed are those that are meek in their demeanor toward God, who they know is the source of all they do and have and are. When we talk about heaven, the root of the word heaven, again going back to Aramaic, to Greek, to Latin, means expanding. And what Jesus means when he talks about heaven, as he does in several of the Beatitudes, is he's talking about an expanding of consciousness. Heaven means the potential, the expanding into oneness, the expanding into being conscious of being one with God itself. Heaven is the potential of spirit, the potential of a pride that is wrapped in human nature. So heaven is the potential of oneness with a spirit that is proud of this amazing creative power that has so much pure love as its fuel for all that it's created, all that is, and it itself. This is the potential, and it is what we are expanding our consciousness into truly being one with, not pride over what we see as being something good about us, which is where our human nature comes in and confuses things. So if you think that to be spiritual is to be financially poor, that is not what Jesus meant in this beatitude. He meant that to be blessed is to be humble in the face of God, to know where the source of your prosperity, the source of your health, the source of your wisdom really comes from. And as you do that, as you become more poor toward your relying on your own thoughts, your own brain, your own work, and instead let this Christ humility of knowing that it all comes from God take over, that expanded consciousness is the kingdom of heaven. And that's the blessing of being willing to be poor in spirit, to be poor in pride over your own efforts. So here you are, you have this really great new way of thinking. You're starting to really know and own and believe that all you have to do is claim your oneness with God itself and all it is, and then to 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 really start to embody and show up as the you who is prosperous and living a life of prosperity. Well, you may be bumping up against some resistance when that happens, and that's what this eighth beatitude is about. Blessed are they that have been persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. We're back to the kingdom of heaven again, expanded consciousness. Blessed are ye when men shall reproach you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. My sake, Jesus is the master teacher, the master example of righteousness, of right thinking, of highest consciousness. When this happens, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets that were before you. A pretty long beatitude, lots of words. What the heck does this mean? Well, let's take a look, because wow, is this a powerful one. There is a deep and meaningful application of this beatitude, which is what Eric Butterworth calls the Beatitudes, because they are attitudes for being. This deep and meaningful application is that it deals with our thinking. The persecution that happens against us when we are changing our thinking to this right thinking, to this righteousness thinking, that we are one with God, that God is all there is, that God is good, and that when we are claiming and showing up as the vibration, the personification of prosperity, it is ours to do because we know we will do good with it, because good is all there is, because God is all there is. When we start really believing this and believing that we are showing up as this and actually showing up as this, we start having some thoughts that are resistant to it. And this is how we create persecution within our own mind. And this is how an errant thought of our own mind becomes our very persecutor. When Jesus says, blessed are they that have been persecuted for righteousness' sake, he is saying, there's nothing wrong with you being tempted within yourself. Phew! Boy, is that ever good to know. I'm happy to hear that, because I'm new to a lot of this stuff and I make mistakes and I get confused and I forget and I get distracted and I have errant thoughts and I persecute myself. This is a sign that you are growing, that you are reaching for greater things, even if the human self is pulling to keep you in lower thoughts. And I think more than just about anything, the thought of it being okay for us to be lavishly prosperous is something that is a reach, is something that takes us greater than we're used to believing really is okay for us, is simple little us to be. Now, the negative person is not tempted. The negative person doesn't have errant thoughts. The negative person isn't persecuted. Because wherever there is temptation, meaning wherever there is this pull to reach for greater things, even though there's also something that's saying, no, you don't deserve it. No, you're too old for it. No, you don't have the qualifications for it. No, not you. That would be too unspiritual to do that. Wherever you're in this tug of war, there's an aspiration. There's a growing that's happening. And this is where consciousness, consciously choosing your divine nature, has an awakening. This is what shows you that you are beginning to turn away from some of the human thoughts, beliefs, stories, ways of being raised, or or told when you were very young, and now growing up you're seeing differently, maybe even wanting to choose something contrary to. Because your divinity is awakening, your knowledge of your oneness is awakening, your knowing of the true power that you are is awakening. When the persecution happens, this is a force of divine origin. Wow, who would think of persecution as being divine? Who would think of persecution as being something that is originated in and from the divine? The reason it is because you've opened to your divinity, meaning you are consciously choosing to look at that. You are consciously choosing to focus on that instead of the voices of the familiar. When you press past this pull of your humanity, that allows your divinity to become all the more released throughout your entire being, not just your human body, but also this field around you that is what is the life you're creating, the people you attract, the situations you attract, the opportunities you attract. These become at a higher level of supporting you growing as the unique being that you are, because your divinity, the very energy of the divine nature that you truly are, is being released. Jesus is saying not to worry when old thoughts and behaviors pull against you, as you focus on this righteousness, on this right thinking and behaving. Don't worry when the old thoughts and behaviors pull against you, as you focus on right thinking of prosperity being something that's easy, that's actually natural for you to acquire, to have, to live and be as. When you start to really think that and think it a lot, don't worry when you still have some thoughts of no, not you, no, it's not true, who do you think you are, you're going to be better than your parents, your friends, your world is going to change. Don't fight it. You are blessed because the persecution, this human trying to pull you down versus divinity trying to be released, this is actually the releasing of your divinity happening. It's already happening. And you're not going to be able to stop it, but you can definitely make yourself miserable while it's happening by paying attention to these familiar human thought patterns and beliefs. Basically, bottom line, what this beatitude is encouraging you to do when the errant thoughts come up, when the persecution within yourself happens, and here's something that shows how powerful we are. So you're wanting to be really prosperous. You're showing up as prosperous. You've even had some prosperity start to happen in your life. Let's say you buy a new car. And let's say you buy a nice name new car. And let's say you buy your new car in a color that isn't at all boring or bland. All of a sudden, some friends start to say, well, who does that person think they are? Look at the car that they got. Oh, they just bought this car. They think they're so this, that. These people, these others that we have saying these things about us, there's a place inside of us that thinks exactly those words. Wait a minute, look at this car that I have. I have this name brand car. I have this color car that looks so much better than every other car on the road right now that I'm looking at. Mine is so much better than all of theirs. Who am I to be driving this great of a car? They are voicing some sort of a belief, some sort of an errant thought that's in you. So we can say, oh, that other person, they said these mean things against me. They were so against me. They said these negative things against me. They persecuted me. It started from something in you that needed to have that validation that, yeah, I really don't deserve this good that I created, I manifested by my ownership of who and what I am and am one with. But it got a little bit scary, and it got a little bit of a growing pain, and here came in a cast of characters to support that. It still all begins with us and our thinking. Be prosperous anyway. Enjoy your car anyway. Drive that car. Park that car. Stand up tall when you get out of that car anyway. So now going forward, what's next? What's next in the prosperity journey? Know that the Beatitudes are for you. Know that Jesus' words as attitudes of being that he left for us to be a roadmap on how to find him after he was gone. Jesus's Beatitudes support us in being prosperous, want us to be prosperous, want us to be a prosperous, bold, revealing of the truth of the goodness and the love that God really truly is. So see yourself as prosperous. Imagine yourself as prosperous. Act as if you are prosperous. Show up as prosperous you all the time, everywhere you go, whether all by yourself or with those others that you've created and manifested and attracted in your sphere. Show up as prosperous you everywhere you go. Speak only of prosperity. And that doesn't necessarily mean lie, but be very, very aware of how you word things, because especially when we've been coming from an experience of not being prosperous, that's kind of automatic response. So when someone says, oh, hey, do you want to go take this trip with us? A group of us are going to this other island. A group of us are going to this resort. Oh, no, I don't have the money right now. No, I don't have any money right now. No, I can't afford that. Think of another way to say that. No, not right now. No, thanks for asking, though. Don't go into a big, long, how poor story you are. I've started to notice within myself, since being very heightened awareness around my languaging, how often I refer to myself as not having money, as living from a very small ability to have money, and really speaking a lie. And so that's what the lie is that we come from lack, that we are lack, that lack is our true nature, that lack is all around us, that poverty is all around us, that there is nothing else that we can draw from. Yeah, you want to be really bold, go ahead and say, look, I'm a beloved child of God, and prosperity is my true nature, and I am one with the money that is on its way to me, and I'm looking forward to being able to take that trip with you at another time. If nothing else, start playing with it in your head about some of these ways of really boldly standing as prosperous you and responding to some of these things that you automatically go to speaking poor. And these others that we actually attract aren't the only time that we have these conversations around how poor we are. Take a look at your thoughts. Take a look at how you think about yourself and your relationship with money, with prosperity, with your finances, with your future finances, and think only from the perspective of you right now as who and what you are, showing up as the prosperous you. Because that person is in there. That person is one with the truth that all you are is God, God is good, and that includes prosperity. Think and speak and see yourself show up in the world, no matter where you are or who you're with, as prosperous you, no matter how it looks for you right now. Let's not even look at that anymore. We've been examining that. We have been repeating that. We have been validating that. It hasn't worked. We want to be more prosperous than that. Let's let it go. Thank you for sharing. Sharing is caring. Now carry on. You've served your time. Now I'm going to turn to prosperous me. No matter how it looks right now, I am going to be in a flow of prosperity that I know has been looking for me and hasn't been able to find me, but here I am. Prosperous me is attracting prosperity itself. If nothing else, try it. Play with it. Just try it. Thank you so much for letting me give this presentation. If you want to stay in touch with me, here's some ways. I have created two meditation videos. One is about relaxing with anxiety. The other is around connecting with depression. They're based on some tools and teachings that I've learned. They're free. I am happy to share them with you. Just send me an email. I'll send you the link to them. Or if you go to my YouTube channel, it's Rev Michelle Hubbard Ministries. You'll find them there. Please accept my gift to you. And my email address is revmichellehubbard@gmail.com. If you want to email me for links to that or have questions or anything. Another way to keep in touch with me, see what's going on with me, is through my Facebook page, Rev Michelle Hubbard. And I wade through a whole bunch of stuff. So I try to have really uplifting, unique, not the same old memes of encouragement you've heard forever and a million days show up with really beautiful images. So if you like that sort of a thing, you might on a day when you need it, find some encouragement or inspiration and support there as well. So I want to share the metaphysical Bible study that I lead is every Friday morning at 5:30 a.m. It's going to resume July 12th. We're taking off this coming up Friday for observation of July 4th in the States. Now I want to share these resources that I've experienced since leading the metaphysical Bible study. I'm trying to get my full screen here. In case you haven't heard of them, or in case you want to take a look at some other resources, here's some ones that I've been using and finding great depth and inspiration from. Truthunity.net. A lot of you may already be familiar with that one. The Metaphysical Bible Dictionary by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore. That is actually word for word on truthunity.net. You don't actually have to buy the whole huge big Metaphysical Bible Dictionary itself, unless you want to. The book that I referred to by Eric Butterworth, Discover the Power Within You. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. It's just so powerful. And then there's a book that gives a kind of a historical perspective on being a metaphysical Christian. And that was written by Mart Hicks, who created truthunity.net. And the book is called Credo of a Metaphysical Christian. Now, for those of you that are familiar with religious science, science of mind, and Ernest Holmes, you may think that Ernest Holmes had nothing to do with Christianity and the Bible. I was surprised to learn that's not true at all. He actually has a book called The Hidden Power of the Bible. And as you might expect from Ernest Holmes, he has written some very brilliant, very beautifully worded translations, interpretations, metaphysically, of the Bible. And he's a great resource. Along with other writings by Charles Fillmore, The Healing Word is a great metaphysical interpreting resource. And then last, there's a book called The New Testament Metaphysically Interpreted, and it's put out by what's called the Fillmore Study Bible, the Fillmore Bible Society. Again, this is something that is done through the truthunity.net founder, Mark Hicks. But it has it's like an entire Bible that's metaphysically interpreted according to how Unity's perspective would be. And then last, the quote that I shared with you at the beginning of our time together about the nature of Christ came from a site called thecomingone.org. And it has some very fascinating and beautiful metaphysical ways of being in relationship with Jesus there. And if you would like for me, I don't know, Anthony, maybe you can take a screenshot of this slide so people can have access to the resources, but I'm happy to share them with you. Feel free to email me if you'd like me to email them to you. But those are some great resources that I've discovered so far. And so I thank you very much for being with me through this presentation on the Beatitudes and prosperity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Reverend Michelle. What a wonderful presentation. I was listening earlier and I noticed Reverend Michelle mentioned now that you have served your time. And to me, the impression was I am now free. Jail is done. I'm through
We
with jail. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's thank you for getting that, Anthony, because that's how I intended it, because we can be punishing ourselves for things that didn't work out in the past, or think that because of something that happened in the past, we don't deserve to even want prosperity, let alone to receive it. And we can let that belief go now. Okay, go
Yeah.
take a break because I'm going to be prosperous anyway.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think we should. Is there anyone who would like to share before I stop recording? So, or everyone wants to share after I stop recording? I think we
In
should stop.
respecting privacy, that might be
Yeah.
better.
Uh-huh. Some people would be okay with sharing their share. Okay. Anyways, I'll stop the recording now. Once again, thank you so much, Reverend Michelle. I appreciate you.